Well, we have probably time for, I guess, one role play to go through on the urgency side. Um, let's have you be the sales guy,
Cool.
and then let's have Rin be the prospect. Yeah, just start from like that two truths question, and I want us to get to the point of where we're asking about like why now. When we're about to get to the qualifier, I'll stop you. But yeah, just want to
Fine.
analyze that bit. So whenever you're ready, mate.
Okay. So, when you mentioned you've been working this job for like 5 years now, I mean, would you say you kind of like what you do? Like, what do you like about it?
Yeah, I mean, I do like it. I've been doing it for years, so I'm used to it. So
Okay. Well, I mean, it sounds like things are going fairly well with what you're doing. Suppose, besides making more money, is there anything that you would change about what you do if you could, though?
not really. I do like it. It just, everyone wants to have extra, right?
Okay. Just help me understand then, like, why not just kind of double down on what you're doing now? What's the main rationale to look into anything else?
Well, with what I'm doing, like I can't really like increase like the hours or anything, right? So just want to have some extra, be able to go on extra vacations, different things like that, right?
Okay, I feel you. So, I mean, maybe you should just be booking some more holidays. I mean, is there no way that you can, I suppose, increase your income with what you do now? I mean, you've been working there for 5 years. You're quite settled in. Is there room for growth?
No, I kind of can't really go like or move up anywhere from where like I am, right? Like it's I'm happy with everything for the most part. Just ultimately just want to have like a side hustle, just have a little bit extra, and that would kind of allow me to just have a little bit more extra in life, right? Everyone wants to have more.
Okay. So I suppose that said, I mean, what are you doing to try and make this passive income besides obviously like gathering some information?
Yeah, that's why I wanted to jump on this call, right? Just to get more information, see if it's something that can help me have like a side hustle.
Okay.
So
And I
can you tell me
suppose,
like a little bit more about like what this is and kind of how it all works and
yeah,
everything like
yeah, I
that?
can I can definitely go into that and give you a high level overview. I'm just curious though. I mean, have you actually tried anything though?
No, this is kind of the first time that
Oh,
I
why not?
jumped on a call before. It just recently, just kind of thinking that I wanted to have extra, right? So I saw this on Instagram just the other day, just scrolling, and I thought, this looked interesting and wanted to know more about it.
Okay. I mean, obviously, yes, you've come across us on Instagram, but how long have you kind of been thinking about this building this kind of income stream for?
It's pretty recent, honestly. Like I said, like everything's going pretty well with my job, but just I saw this pop up and was like, oh, maybe some extra income might be a good idea, and
Okay.
so here I am.
Okay. I suppose like out of curiosity, like is there like what was it that shifted for you that made you feel like maybe now is the time to start looking into something like this? Yeah, obviously you've seen our ads and stuff, but what kind of shifted within you to want to take that step?
I mean, like Christmas is coming up, right? So just want to have a little bit of extra, right? It'd be nice to take the family on holidays, different things like that. So, yeah, when I saw this pop up, and just wanted to know more about it.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing, isn't it? 2025 is coming up. Everyone's kind of thinking about their goals. I suppose for you, once you have all the kind of information that you need to know whether or not this is the right path for you, I mean, assuming that you love everything about this and what we do here, I mean, is this something that you're actually looking to start sooner rather than later, or how do you feel?
Yeah, I definitely, I just want to know a little bit more about how it all works, right? Like I don't really know much about it, just kind of came across it. So just really want to kind of understand. Can you tell me a little bit more of like how it works and more like details on it?
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, this call is basically about figuring out like what you're looking for and then the in-depth conversation around like how exactly this all works and what our kind of support looks like. That's a separate conversation that you're going to have with one of our senior coaches on Paul's team that can run you through everything A to Z. So I suppose for you, like you've looked into things quite recently, right? I just want to be
Mhm.
sure that you're actually going to be successful with something like this. So, I mean, do you really feel that now is the time to really take that step up and become the entrepreneur that you want to be? Or how do you feel?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's no time like the present, right? Definitely want to get started with something sooner than later.
Okay. Well, I suppose, a lot of people say that, Taryn. I suppose what's really driving you to do something about this now, besides obviously, bills going up and Christmas around the corner?
Yeah, I just I feel like it is the right time. I have a little bit extra time to put in towards something. So just yeah, I want to really understand if this is something that can work for me and have that extra for my family.
Well, we're going to pause this here, Taylor.
Yeah. Yeah. You're just replying to a little email. There we go. Cool. Yeah. Good job on being extremely difficult. That's what we want, right? But that's typical prospects, to be fair.
Mm.
Yeah, I thought overall, like we asked some pretty good questions. I think the one that I made a comment on, what was it that you said? I think you kind of like zoomed out on what she was saying. I think where it kind of sloped off because we was getting into loops, was when she was asking about, oh, can you just give me more information? And then you said, oh, absolutely, yeah, we'll get into that. I'll be able to cover a little high level overview. At that point, I think that's kind of shooting us in the foot. Because then if we would then want to reset the expectations of the call, which we tried to on the second go, in her mind, it probably wouldn't have been congruent with the first thing that you said.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
so
I
that's, of
realized that as I was saying it. It was kind of like the
course.
thing of it threw me off as I was midway through. I usually would have like set that tone from the start.
Yeah, of course. And like doing group role plays, I mean, usually it gets the worst out of us, right? So we usually figure out loops that we're like, oh damn, like I should have gone back to that earlier and stuff. It happens. But yeah, that's what I would say really, just to deal with the type of prospect it is, it's just resetting expectations from the early. And just making sure it's worth their time. In fact, I can do the exact same thing with Taryn and just show you as well the example. So yeah, let's see. So yeah, just ask that question. Ask it to me, and then I'll show you how like I'd deal with it.
Ask a question.
Yeah, just the like. Oh, I mean, can
More
you just give
information.
me more information about it? Like, just let me
Oh,
know.
okay. Yeah, can you just give me like more information and just like a little bit more insight on what this looks like?
Yeah, for sure. So, as far as understanding details, like this is, by the way, a temporary call to understand if doing this would even be worth your time. That's actually more of our next steps with our senior specialist. They'll cover a lot more about that. I guess was there a reason we were wanting to know like so early, as far as like details there?
Well, I just came across it, right? So I don't really know like a whole lot about it. So
Yeah,
obviously, like
sure.
in order to decide if it's something for me or not, I want to obviously know more about it.
Of course, yeah. I guess behind that, I'm sure there's some criteria of what you are looking for. I guess can you help me understand like what I guess looks like an optimal business model for you, and perhaps from there I may be able to point you in the right direction.
I'm just wondering like how much time is really required for something like this, right? Because I know
Mhm.
with any business, there's probably like something you have to put into it, right? So I'm just
Always.
wanting to know, yeah, I wanting to know what that I guess looks like.
Yeah, so as far as timing, like, this is once again, that people say passive income, you kind of have a hands-off business, but yeah, it does require work. I guess how much time are we willing to put into a business alongside what we do? Because we wouldn't recommend anything less than an hour, 2 hours a day.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't want it to be like a full-time job, right? So that's kind of
Yeah.
primarily what I wanted to know about. And then like
Yeah.
how it actually works. Like how does it actually work through YouTube? Like what does that even look like?
Yeah, so that's more of a high level discussion that is actually covered with the specialist specifically, right? But ultimately, we're just here to make sure that even going into this and doing this alongside the job that you absolutely love right now, like, is even worth your time. So, I guess help me understand, like, what's even made you want to have an income on the side as opposed to just like focusing on doubling down on your job, like maybe earning more on that side? Like, what has had you focus on that?
Well, my hours are kind of like capped with work, so I can't really like increase it anymore.
Right?
So I just want to have extra. I just want to be able to have like those extra vacations for the family, and
Yeah.
with Christmas coming up, want to give them a little bit extra, different things like that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's fair. And I mean, you've got a couple of, I'm sure, more than enough options for you where, for example, maybe there's a chance to promote within your job, like try and get maybe to, I don't know, like because you mentioned you're on the floor right now doing a lot of the stuff, maybe like management roles. There's like side gigs you can do as well, but I guess it depends on how much extra you want to make, right? Like how much extra you wanting to make every single month alongside what you do.
Well, I haven't really thought about it. I'm not just like any extra would be fine, right?
So even like an extra like $1 a month, like that's okay.
Well, I mean, like I don't know, even if it's like a couple hundred, couple thousand, like it's just like a little extra, right? Would just be nice to have.
Sure. I'm just a little confused on that. We don't seem totally clear on like how much extra that we want. Is there like a reason for that?
Well, I'm not really sure what you can make from this, right? So I don't really know what like the proper expectation would be from
Well,
something like
yeah, I
this.
mean, look, aside from the model, because the model's not important, right? It's important that like your goals, it matches up with that, right? And I don't even understand that. So I guess like what is an optimal amount of extra money that we need to make a month, or even just a total amount that we'd feel fulfilled, we're able to do the traveling we want to and actually invest, save, whatever it is that we need to live a fulfilled life. Like, what does that look like for you if we have thought about it?
I mean, yeah, like in a perfect world, like an extra like 5,000, like that would be, great, like additional to have on top of what I'm doing.
Right. Okay, for sure. And as far as like with our job, is there a way to earn an extra 5K a month with that position? Or just going a bit higher?
No, I'm kind of like just stuck where I am right now. And even though like I love my job, there's not really a way to kind of like, level up from where I am to kind of create
Right.
that. So yeah, so that's why I'm just
Sure.
trying to find something like on the side, right?
Sure. And let's say you're able to match your job income and make an extra 5K a month. Like, are you totally committed to your job or are you wanting to make a transition from it? Because if you still want to stay in your job, then that's a different story.
I mean, if there's like potential where like, yeah, I didn't have to work as many, hours, like
Mhm.
then yeah, why not, right?
Right. Okay. Well, why not? Like, it sounds like maybe we're slightly open to it, but we're not too sure. Like, are we absolutely sure that we would, assuming that we can make the money that replaces our job and the extra 5K, like, are we actually committed to doing something about that though?
Okay, that's if that's possible. I'm just not 100% sure that's actually something that, can work, right? But if you're
Yeah.
telling me I can, replace my income and make more on top of that, then why wouldn't
Mhm.
I quit my job, right?
Yeah, for sure. I think everyone's different with that, absolutely. So I guess that being said, like how long have we been on the lookout for other business models where that is, I guess, possible, that extra 5K a month? Like how long have we been on this mode of looking for something extra?
It's pretty recent. I just, saw something the other day on Instagram, about passive income and
Sure.
with like I think his name is Paul, right? Just wanted to know
Yeah, yeah.
a little bit more. Yeah.
Sure, sure. So like maybe are we talking weeks, months? Like what's been the timeline on that?
Oh, it's only been like a few days. I just saw something
Oh,
like
a few
just a couple
days.
nights ago. Yeah.
They're very, very new to this. Right. I mean, that being said, obviously, I want to make sure you've exhausted all your current options, right? Like, because running a business, it's it takes time, effort, energy, and obviously sometimes capital to get involved with stuff like that as well. But I guess, it's now December time. People usually wind down at this time of year, right? Typically just waiting to, have their roasties, gain a bit of weight, and then start in January, right? So it's like working on something like this, even though we've only looked into this for the last couple of days, is now really the right time to make some progress on looking to start business models, ahead of 2025.
Yeah, I mean, if everything like fits and I feel like it makes sense, then like why wouldn't I want to start?
For sure. So it looks like we are looking to start something. And then yeah, at this point, then I'm going into like the qualifiers. I do the exact same way as I demonstrated earlier. But yeah, I think what it is, it's like I want to understand the goal, how much it is, and like is with their current route of doing things, is it even possible? And I've gathered the fact that from her job, she literally cannot do it, and she's even open to a new way of doing things, totally replacing her job and things like that. I think that's what we had to gather initially. But yeah, I didn't want to go like super deep because otherwise we're just asking way too many questions. We want to provide a lot of that context for the closers so they can like dive a bit deeper into like what's held them back. So that's how I would approach it with Taryn. Wasn't absolutely perfect, but it at least helped me to know that she's actually open to quitting her job, assuming she finds the right thing, right? And getting some criteria on that as well. So
Taylor, why is that important? Why is that like, are we not content with the fact that she likes her job and then just wants to make more on the side? Why do we have to come to the conclusion that, she wants to make a transition out of her job if the opportunity is there?
yeah, because the thing is, like, if somebody has, like, they just want to make a couple of, like, extra hundreds or a few thousand on the side, there is literally so many other things that they can do in order to do that. And it's the same with, let's say if they go full time and do it as well. But typically with people like that just want to make an extra, like, $1,000, $2,000, that what that typically shows me is they're more, like, focused on the certainty element of keeping their job and that, like, stability. Like, people like that typically don't have a business mindset, right? And yeah, of course, I mean, they have the fear of like, oh, I don't want to quit my job and I want it to be like an eventual transition. But what they're doing is they're not like kind of, how do I say it, like zooming out a lot more. If they actually zoom out and focused on what they actually want money wise, it's not going to include the job. Because
Mm.
assuming that vehicle makes it not possible for them to actually hit 10, 15K a month, whatever that looks like, then they need to not be doing that job. And sometimes then the questions focus more on the business model like, oh, if that works, oh, if it's possible. But I want to zoom out and understand how much they've actually thought about their goals. People that say I want to make an extra 2, 3 thousand, they haven't properly thought about it. It's just like total, they want to make their job income plus the extra, and that's the total, right? And then from there, they're probably too scared to admit that like they ideally don't want to do their job. It's that fear of like the security side. So
Mhm.
that's why like I want to know like how much of an all-in mentality they actually have into doing like their own thing rather than just like a job and a side income. Because yeah, it's usually it's in its totality ultimately what kind of financial goals they want rather than just like the extra. I never focus on that because they're scared of like leaning away from the job, I think. So yeah,
Gotcha.
hopefully that makes sense. Very wordy, but yeah, I'll keep that. I'll chat GBT that, get that so with some brevity. But that's what I'd say. Cool.